What is up, YouTube? If this is your first time checking in, my name is Omar Garza and I'm a filmmaker here on the Central Coast of California. This week, I got a new gimbal. I know, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, don't you already have a gimbal? Why would you need two? And with that question, you'd be wrong because I don't have two gimbals. I have three. I have the Crane 1, the Crane 2, and now the Moza Air 2. Now, why do I need this many gimbals? I guess really I don't. I don't need this many gimbals. This is not a good example of how many gimbals probably anyone should own. But I originally got the Crane version 2, the Crane #1 version 2, about 4 years ago when I started using a gimbal. I was back on an 80D back then, and this did the job. It was a really, really light camera, so the lenses were light, everything was light, and this just worked. It was a great workhorse. It was really intuitive, easy to use. I liked it. That's why I moved up to the Crane 2 once I started using heavier cameras like the GH5 and the A7 III. However, those gimbals had certain limitations when it came to powering a bigger camera like the Pocket 6K. Being a cinema camera, it uses a ton of energy, and that was a big limitation for me because I needed to power this thing for long periods of time. I feel like I said limitations too much. Limitations. Limitations. The biggest limitations for me, however, were the fact that every 20 minutes you had to pull the camera off the gimbal, take off the follow focus, swap out the batteries, put it back on, reattach the follow focus, rebalance the camera every time the power ran out, essentially. So with all those things answered, will I do another wedding with this? I don't know, I might do it. This really has checked a lot of boxes for me, and I think this might be the perfect setup for me. I mean, this thing is awesome. Check this out. I feel like it's like a clumsy lightsaber. Clumsy lightsaber, that's what it is. It's awesome. So I needed an opportunity to test it out. Thankfully, my kids wanted ice cream.
In the house.
Are you?
Hey, Jackson.
Are you tired? Oh no! Get this boy ice cream! Hurry!
I think he must be tired.
There it is. So tiny.
This is huge. I have to try to do both.
Yeah. Is that pretty easy to do? Drink coffee and hold that gimbal? Mm-hmm. Perfect. In case you were curious, I did do a video on the Crane 2 Blackmagic Pocket 6K combo, and it was overall, the review was pretty good. I mean, it was really, really brief. I didn't do anything really technical. I'll put a link to it up in the upper right. However, the summary was, it will balance on there. However, you are gonna have some limitations, like you do need to put a weight on one side or else it'll kind of just fall to the left. And then also you're going to need an offset plate. So that's two things that you need to make that system work. And then it didn't really work super well. It worked, but not super well. The lock mode just was no go. The motors were fighting the weight the whole time. So in lock mode, it would just kind of sputter and shake back and forth. But in follow mode, it worked great. So you had at least one mode that you could use. But in any case, the GH5, any other DSLR camera, it seemed like it was phenomenal. And up until now, I didn't need anything else. It was great. So yeah, that's kind of the backstory that brought me to the Moza Air 2. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, based on the price, I thought maybe something was going to be wrong with it. Maybe there was a quality control issue. But I didn't have any issues. I mean, your mileage may vary. You might have something that I didn't have, so I can't guarantee they're all going to be as good as the one that I got, the copy that I got. But it's great. It powers the Blackmagic 6K for about an hour and a half. It uses these little batteries right here that you can get 4 of for about $50. So you can get 4 of these little, I don't know what batteries, these very specific branded batteries for $50, less than one of the OEM LPE6 batteries. So that's great. And it charges your system for an hour and 30 minutes. So 2 sets of these batteries is what I ended up picking up. Total, this is gonna power it for 3 hours. I feel like for any event or any shoot, if I'm on the gimbal for longer than 3 hours, it's probably an issue. Maybe I should try to think about doing something else, anything else. So 3 hours for me is gonna work for the entire day. Okay, so I didn't want to make this video overly technical, but I definitely feel like I should mention a couple of the pros and cons. Pros. It powers your Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K. Do you need another pro? It's awesome. The follow focus comes with the kit and it's only $5.99. Like, you can't get a better deal than that. That's just amazing. All right, so the cons. I feel like the con that's gonna frustrate the most people is the menu system. This menu system will only feel familiar to maybe a Sony lover, if you know what I mean. That crazy Sony menu system that everyone complains about. This Moza Air 2 system makes the Sony menu system a dream. That's how rough this is. This is not an easy system to get familiar with. You're gonna have to be going through the book, looking through the menu system on your own, spending a lot of time with this before you're gonna feel familiar with it. That being said, there is a lot of custom settings and ways that you can set this up, but intuitive, it is not. So that's my total review of the Moza Air 2 gimbal. Not overly technical, not overly complicated, just kind of a real world review of it. I've only had it for a week, so maybe in a few more weeks I'll feel a little bit differently, but right now I'm loving this system. Do I love it enough to start using it again for weddings? That's the question that I ask myself. We'll see, maybe. Just going through that last wedding that I did with the Blackmagic system really keeps making me fall in love with the Blackmagic colors, man. I love it. The colors are just amazing. That 13 stops of dynamic range, and I know that there's like the Canon color fanboys. I'm definitely a Blackmagic color fanboy. I feel like I'm rambling, so I'm gonna wrap this up. If you found this helpful or entertaining, please like the video. If you wanna keep up with me on this crazy journey of mine, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.